Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 3i Podcast. I'm Mike Launchman, and with me is Don Harman. Don has over 30 years of experience in public education. He started as a teacher in 1992 and is now the executive director of the Northern and Northwest Indiana Education Service Centers. I'm excited to talk to Don about the trends he is seeing in the K-12 space today. Don, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I know you've been working at the service centers the last few years, but let's go back a little bit and start. I first met you in class at ICHE. You were in my stats class, which you were a principal at that time, right?
Yep.
And then
Principal of South Vermilion.
Yep. And then you transitioned from there to
Superintendent Oregon Davis.
How was that transition? I'm just curious because I know, like, moving from a principal to a first-time superintendent. What's that like?
You know, it's different, but I will tell you where my success was the transition that I surrounded myself with a lot of great people. When I went to Oregon Davis, they had an interim superintendent, Jim Dermody, who I was able to connect with him. And every time I talk to new superintendents, I always tell them they have to connect with someone, whether it be a fellow superintendent or a retired superintendent, because having that network is so important. And we can all agree to that. Networking is so critical. So my transition was very well. It went very well because I had Jim Dermody in my back pocket that I could call him and say, hey, am I doing this or that? Plus, the other thing is I had some great mentors, Dick Reese, who was at John Glenn, who was passed. But again, I could call him and say, okay, I don't understand this. What do I need to do? And so I had some good networking. So I think that's the key is when someone goes from the principal to superintendency, that they build a good network and people that they can trust. It's kind of like a lifeline, if you will.
Yeah, I've actually talked with several superintendents, and I think our more successful superintendents are the ones that understand that they can't just operate in isolation in their district walls. Exactly. They have to be willing to extend out and build those relationships, not only relationships with other school superintendents, but also relationships internally within their district. And then the other thing I would say is I'm seeing a lot of conversation right now about partnerships with community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've told all new superintendents, when you walk into a corporation, the first day on the job, you're working towards a referendum. We're in a world where you're going to have a referendum. So when I say that, I talk to them that you have to start building relationship with your community. You've got to market your corporation. You've got to market your community, whether you have new families come in. Whether you want to recruit teachers, it's all about talking about your community and your school.
Well, now I know that you're a service center director, so you work with multiple districts. So a lot of them are having some superintendent turnover right now. Going from a principalship to being a superintendent, what are one or two things that you would recommend individuals do as they start to think about how do you prepare for that?
I think number one, you've got to build a good team and a team that you trust, and you've got to lead. I mean, to me, that's what a great leader is. You surround yourself with good people, and then you let them go, and you support them. You don't need to mandate. You don't need to dictate. Also, I think you have to be able to say, I don't know. I know there's too many young superintendents that they want to always give an answer. They don't want to say, I don't know. And then sometimes you just have to say, hey, I messed up. And I think that's a true leader. You accept responsibility, but then you also can say, I don't know the answer, but let me find out. Because I know some superintendents have been doing it they've been a superintendent for 20 years, and they still are learning, and they still can say, hey, I don't know, let me go find out.
Yeah, I think the field is changing drastically year by year. You're seeing legislators implement new legislation. You're seeing requirements from the Department of Ed. You're seeing new programs and focuses pop up. It's interesting to kind of hear that because when I interact with a lot of superintendents, one of the things that I encourage them to do is say, I don't know, but I will find out. It's not what you know on the spot. It's the resources and relationships that you build that allow you to figure out what is the right course of action is what I hear you're saying.
Yeah. Well, one of the things when I came to the Service Center 4 years ago, one of the things I always tell superintendents, and we tell all of our members, we want to be one of the first three you call. Mm-hmm. If you have a problem, you call the Service Center. Either myself or anybody on our staff let us help you. And so that's what happens so many times. Superintendents will call me and say, Don, I don't know what to do. I need help with this or that. A lot of times I might say, I don't know, but give me a few minutes. Let me connect you with someone. And that might be you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, you've called me a couple times on a couple different districts and, hey, what do you know about this space? And what do you know about that? What are some of your other districts doing? So, So out of curiosity, like, I don't know that everybody is really familiar with what a service center does, because transparently, I thought service centers, when I was an associate soup, their purpose was cooperative purchasing. Yep. If we save this much money on our toilet paper or our health insurance or whatever it might be, and we only have to pay this much, it's a good ROI. But like, you have done so many different things. I'd be curious to kind of break down for us, what is a service center?
Yep. Well, in Indiana, there's 9 educational service centers.
Okay.
And 4 years ago, when I was superintendent at Oregon-Davis, I was on the board, and this position opened up, and my peers came to me and says, Don, why don't you consider doing this? And I said, well, and my exact words were, if you guys want me to lead this, I'm gonna rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And I said, we have to change this, because educational service centers in the past have just been about cooperative purchasing, and they didn't show value. And that's my opinion. But now, if you talk to any of our members, they're like, wow, there's a lot of value there. Our 4 core values is we collaborate, we serve, we support, and we try to be very innovative. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to the service center, just to NESIC, and now I'm the executive director of Northwest 2. So I'm the executive of 2 out of the 9.
Okay.
And so when I came to the service center 4 years ago, those 2 service centers, we had 48 members, and now we have 57.
Okay, so you've expanded membership.
Expanded 9 memberships.
Right.
And so we have added a lot of service. When I came to the service center, we mainly did cooperative purchasing and food procurement. But now we're with the lead cadre, the DOE and sales leading. So we have 9 support specialists there. We offer technology, curriculum, school counseling, STEM, food service, food procurement, cooperative purchasing, media specialist, dietitian. But the key is we try to diversify. Uh-huh. And when we talk to our members, we're always saying, how can we help? How can we help? And that's where we want to look at expanding our staffing and offering our services. I've always said that we are a service center. And so that's one of our main focuses that we serve. So
it's interesting, because I think when you first started, you guys could have shared a large pizza, and now you need a lot more because of the number of staff.
When I started, we started with 4 full-time staff members, and now we're at 20.
20.
So, and a lot of those, we've been very lucky to get grants, and that has helped our staffing. I know we're working with you with the grant, but I think that's the key too, is we're always looking for grants. We're always looking for ways that we can improve. But a lot of that, going from 4 staff members to 20, you have to take a risk. And you've done that with your company.
Yeah.
There's been times that I've taken a risk to go to our board and said, I want to add some staff members, but I'm taking my data to them, and I've done my research, and the risk has panned out, because that's where we're at with 20 staff members.
We have those same type of conversations, like, okay, I see an opportunity, and I've got to weigh the cost of it, and what's the potential ROI, and how will it add value to my district partners?
Well, and you make a good point, because I think we do complement each other, both of our organizations, because superintendents and school corporations, they only have so many resources.
Right.
And they have a difficult time marketing, or a difficult time addressing their math curriculum or whatnot. So that's kind of where I come in when they say, hey, Don, we need help. That's where we've offered services. But if we can't offer those services with the great partnership we have, I can call you and say, okay, we can't provide this, but what can you do?
Yeah. Talk to me about like food service director, because I know like some of the rural districts are struggling having someone that can fill that role.
Yeah.
How do you guys help a district?
Well, we have 3 full-time food service directors who are certified, and then we have corporations who contract us.
Okay.
So we do all the ordering and keep them in compliance. So that's been very, very worthwhile. Then we've also kind of expanded, done the same thing with the media specialists.
Okay.
You can't find media specialists anymore, and legally you have to. And so we have a media specialist that we contract with who oversees all of the ordering and make sure they're in compliance. and she is their certified media specialist.
So what I hear you saying is due to potential like employee shortages and areas that are really struggling to field, you guys have actually allowed for a small group of districts to collaborate and share that resource, whether it be a food service director or a media specialist and things like that. 10 years ago, when you were a principal and when I was an associate soup, if I had an elementary opening, I had 30 or 40 apps. Now I'm lucky if we have 3 or 4. It's just a different ballgame.
Well, it's a different ballgame, and I love teachers. Don't get me wrong, and we have a teacher shortage. But I've also always preached there's also a lot of other people in a school district that will have shortage.
100%.
When you look at bus drivers, secretaries, aides, food service, it's just a crisis. I think when you look at schools, employees in general.
It's funny you say that. My kids go to an amazing district, and I'm very lucky with the district that they go to. But when I get a call from that school district, I automatically know it's going to say that there's a bus driver shortage today, and my kid's going to be 20 minutes late because a bus driver has to run 2 routes now and things like that, where that's okay because I live in more of a suburban area. But imagine bus driver shortages in a rural area, and I've heard of kids getting home an hour and a half late. I mean, you're right. There are teacher shortages, but there are so many other shortages. And I appreciate what the service center is doing for a lot of these districts, and I know they do as well.
Yeah, and that's what we're always constantly talking to our members. How can we help? Now, I've had superintendents say, Don, how can you help with bus drivers? I can't help them with that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, another service that I think that we do a very good job, and I always preach this, and again, I talk about we are a service center. We offer a lot of study councils. And when I say study councils, it's just we're bringing people together. You could talk them affinity groups, you can talk professional learning communities, whatever. But we offer, for example, a monthly virtual study council with transportation directors, which I bring transportation directors together. We do that with school safety. We do that with all our principals. We do it with our school counselors. We do it with our technology people. So again, that's another service that you can't put a price on.
Right.
I'm not saving the corporation, but I'm allowing people to come together to talk.
Well, and that goes back to your initial point when we were talking about when someone transitions from a principal to a superintendent. It's building those relationships, expanding that network, finding out what others are doing, and having others help you solve your problems.
Correct.
You can't do it by yourself.
Yep. But yeah, bringing people together and learn from each other.
We had conversations, and not only are your staff doing some amazing PD, but you're out in the trenches doing some trainings right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, CPI training.
Which is for someone who's not...
Crisis prevention. And people think CPI is a special ed thing. It's not a special ed thing.
Right.
CPI is it's basically how our behavior affects other people's behavior and vice versa. So anyhow, a couple of years ago, I went to the board and I said, listen, I miss being in the classroom. I miss being that teacher. So I want to go get certified because then I can go into our member districts and help train. So over the last 2 years, I've been pretty busy. I probably trained close to 300 individuals. But that's been a good thing for me because it puts me back in the classroom. But again, that's another service we offer that shows value to our members.
It also gives you an opportunity to go out in the field and you get to talk to more people and maybe identify additional services that they need support in. Yeah. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, and the neat thing is when I do talk to teachers and I'm training the whole corporation or some people, I can also educate them about the Educational Service Center because they have no idea, I belong to NESIC or I belong to the Northwest. And so I can educate them about the services. So it's also good PR for us.
So speaking of PR, how have you guys kind of been communicating out? So what are some strategies that your service center has used to kind of market or showcase themselves? And how might that relate to superintendents and how they think about branding or marketing their district?
I would say our big one is emails. I mean, we email our members with information. We use social media. And the key is our members are our best marketing.
Yeah, the referral network.
They're telling they're saying they show value. Our service center shows value, and I think that's the key. But when you look at marketing, we can always do better.
Well, from a business side perspective, I admire the work that you've done, and you think about in 4 years, you've you've 6x'd your revenue.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, our total budget was about $650,000, and now it's about $4 million. But I also stress, we're not all about revenue. I mean, yes, we want to bring revenue in for our staff, to pay for staff, and to offer more services. But a key I preach about, what services do we offer? We want to help our members in any way we can.
Yeah, but if you're not adding value, you're not going to add revenue.
Oh, yeah.
So we know when we have conversations internally on my team, we understand that, yes, we are a business, but at the same time, like, if we don't add value to our district partners, we don't create a scenario where we retain them, where we continue. You've evolved the concept of what a service center is, and I admire that because...
Well, to your point, just this morning, I got an email from a superintendent and said, Don, I talked to another superintendent who used your media service. Is there any way that we can also use your media service? And I'm like, absolutely. Yes, we generate some revenue, but more importantly,
you add value.
We're showing value.
You're not helping districts with what they want. You're helping districts with what they need.
Yes.
So I can admire the focus on what specific needs do our districts have.
You know, obviously we're hearing that superintendents, schools have so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do they juggle everything that's going on? We're hearing a lot. Obviously, curriculum is big. Obviously, all the literature coming down, with the math coming down, possibly in the legislation. We hear a lot from members about, you know, we need help with marketing our schools. We need help with understanding AI.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I've kind of reached out to you as far as, hey, talk to Mike's group with AI, talk to Mike's group about marketing, because we don't do that stuff.
Right.
And that's my whole point. If I don't have that service, then I'm going to recommend and say, hey, talk to this person, talk to that person.
So you have the same mentality I have is, if I can't offer our district partners the best value in that space, then I don't need to be in that space.
Exactly.
And you're saying the exact same thing. Like, you don't have an AI specialist like I have. You don't have a creative team like I have. So you're willing to form that relationship.
Yeah. And I think both our organizations have the same philosophy. And, you know, we ask why not. You know, if a corporation calls me and says, Don, can we do this? And I'm like, okay, why can't we do this? And we have to evaluate with our staff and what we offer. And if we can't, then it's my responsibility or our staff's to find the resources that can help that corporation.
My company actually has, we call it the two most powerful words. Our two most powerful words that we talk about at all staff meetings, at team meetings, is what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if we could solve this problem? What if there was a solution? What would that solution look like?
Yep.
So it takes the ability for you to be willing to be innovative, to challenge the status quo.
Yep. Well, and I think that goes back to, I would say, our leadership philosophy is, you know, I tell our staff, I don't want yes people.
Uh-huh.
I want you to question me. I want you to question each other. I want to think outside the box. But to me, that's what a true leader does. You get great people on board. You let them go and you support them. And that's kind of what my philosophy is of the sewer center. And so far, it's worked well.
Well, speaking of, we've talked a little bit about like AI and marketing, some things that I help your organization with. One other thing that's kind of nice is we have 22 school districts right now that are part of the ICHE grant. And we don't even call it a grant. What do we call it?
We really promote that this is not a grant, it's an initiative. Because the key, to me, it's not going away.
Correct.
And this is an initiative that yes, the grant goes through next school year, but our philosophy is this is an initiative that will continue.
Tell them a little bit about the career coaching and kind of what we're working on.
Yeah, the career coaching grant with the state of Indiana really talking about employability skills K through 12.
Mm-hmm.
The Commission of Higher Ed came out with an opportunity with a grant. And so we brainstormed that how can we address this with our career coaches? And our philosophy is when you look at career coaching, it's not, everybody always thinks that have the school counselor do it.
Right.
But you don't want to dump it on a school counselor. So our philosophy was with this grant, we want to build sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is we wanted to work with school corporations to help them understand employability skills and the career coaching aspect and how we can sustain that. part of the grant is we had to initiate and be able to support schools with this K through 12 employability skills, and that's where we came in and came and talked to you because you have the Employ app.
Yeah.
So our grant centered around that we wanted to bring our career coaches together in these 22 school corporations. So we bring them together, we talk to them and things like that. The other point of that piece is we also are going to bring in the chambers, our business people. Because so many businesses have no idea what's going on in schools, and so many schools don't know what's going on in businesses. But more importantly, our schools don't have time and resources to be able to go to businesses and try to build partnerships.
Yeah.
Then the other aspect is we brought you in because you have that Employee app that can help schools track all of
micro-credentials
and all of that stuff. So it's worked well. We had a kickoff this year in July, and so that's been a great partnership. We've got a great relationship with the ICHE.
Shout out to Greg.
And shout out to Greg, and shout out to everybody that we work with. I know they're very pleased with our grant and the progress that we've done.
What I love about the grant and what I love about kind of your ability to innovate and think through things is like, not only is it about career coaching, not only is it about career awareness and getting it from a K-12 perspective. I think one of the attributes that makes the grant we're working together on stand out, definitely maybe in ICHE's world, is it's that commitment from a K-12 solution. Because I think in a lot of districts that we have talked to is career counseling or career coaching is a high school thing. But we're having conversations right now, and they understand that if you wait for communication, collaboration, and work ethic, some of those highlighted employability skills that we do, if you wait until 9th grade, you've missed the boat.
Yep.
If you sit back and you say, Mike, what are you most excited about within the space of this grant or this initiative? I would say the thing that I'm really excited about is helping our districts expand their community partners and build currency exchanges. So we have in that initiative, we're focusing on if kids get these employability skills and these micro-credential badges, how do we offer them currency at a K-12 level? Maybe in the K-2 world, it's small parties, it's little celebrations, and then you ramp it up. Maybe in 3-5, you get an extra field trip. What I love is we're not setting parameters that all 22 districts have to live by, but instead what we're doing is we're helping each of the 22 districts localize it to form their own vision, their own dream, their own aspirations, which also align with their community resources.
Well, to add to that, we have school corporations, larger school corporations, that they already may have a full-time career coach, and that's all they do.
Right.
And placing students into internships at high school, but then also working down at the elementary. We have some corporations that they didn't even know what a career coach was.
Right.
And so bringing those people together is great because they all share. And again, we're allowing network to happen. The other part of the grant that I love is we want to help market, and we also want to showcase what we're doing in these 22 school corporations. So I know we've got your marketing team.
Yeah.
So you want to expand on that?
Sure. What we're actually doing on that front is just kind of thinking through and saying, okay, not only are we showing the work that's being done, but we're showcasing in a way that will allow other districts outside of the 22 to learn from it. So you've got like 35 or 36 more districts that are part of your service center that are not part of this. So how can we then produce materials and resources and support and market it and showcase it and showing how it's being customized and how we're offering different currency exchanges. I've got districts right now that are like, hey, if you get the employability skills and you walk out as a graduate and with the micro-credential badges, you get an extra $1 an hour on your starting wage, or you're guaranteed an interview, or we'll give you your 12th grade year. We're going to give you, if you've earned the 9-10 badges, we're going to give you opportunities to apply for an internship that is paid. Yep. But if we just do it and have districts act in isolation and we don't showcase that, then other districts don't learn from that. Right. We don't help.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like about this is showcasing is, I want a superintendent to be able to use this 2-minute clip to show their board. Because I think it's going to help the board understand what this initiative is so possibly they can build in some salary or some stipends or something to continue this.
One of the other nice things I love about, like, we're going to create a series of videos. So it's like, if you just create a bunch of one-pagers in graphic design, and by the way, I have the best graphic designer you'll ever meet, but if you just create those documents, it's not the same as that video content. And so we've experienced that. So by producing a video and stuff like that, what's nice is districts outside of our 22 could take that video, take it to their local chamber and go, how do we create something like that that fits our community?
Correct.
How do we localize it? How do we make it fit what our community needs?
Correct.
And so I'm really excited about it.
And I think, to me, when you look at the big picture, I think this is not going to go away.
No.
And I think for years and years, schools have been isolated, businesses have been isolated, and I think this is just a great time that the Service Center, as well as EES, we need to help bring schools and businesses together. And so if we can work together, I think that's pivotal. And I think, when we look at the future, I think that's going to be a very big piece of what we do.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you talked about marketing and stuff like that. I actually had a small local business reach out to us and say, hey, I want you to actually do some marketing documents on our local school. Mm-hmm. And I said, really? And I took a step back and I was like, why? He goes, because when I'm trying to recruit the best possible staff, I want them to know that if they come work for me, we have great schools that can serve their kids and can expand their kids. And he's like, I want you to customize that marketing document for the type of individuals I'm trying to attract. So I want you to focus on this school's STEM program. I want you to focus on their computer science. I want you to focus on, because that's the field I'm in.
Yep.
And that's what hopefully future employees will value. So we're actually having conversations right now with small businesses about showcasing schools, not for schools, but for their own staff recruitment efforts.
Yep.
So
you're going to see schools doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they have to recruit and retain staff, not just teachers, but their staff. So, I'm excited about this grant. I know you are too. Mm-hmm. I'll say this, with Shannon Harman, our school counseling specialist, and then you've got Tiffany and
Cindy and a few others.
And a few others, but to me, we just sit back. I mean, again, that's true leadership. We've got great people.
Yeah.
They're leading the initiative, and we can sit back and we can brag about it and we can support them. But I'm excited about this grant.
Initiative.
I'm excited about this initiative.
I love it too. All right, so I end almost every episode with the same question. What are you professionally looking forward to the most in the next 12 months?
I would say the next 12 months, I think just seeing how we can continue to serve our members, and not only just our members, but even our non-members. I mean, I think, I'm trying to serve all kids, but I'm also excited how we can serve our communities and businesses. My expectation is that we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to serve. We're going to continue to look at different services and how we can become better as an organization to serve our members.
So in the next 12 months, your service center will not stay status quo. It will continue to evolve to the needs of your member districts and
Bingo.
other local districts.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thanks for taking the time, Don.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.